the Going On Daily live morning show. And, when it's live, you never know what happens, right? So we have some great conversations today look, coming up. I mean, when I saw your topics today, Tony, and I am Ron, your host, and my co-host today is Tony Jones, the one and only Tony Jones. Look, when I saw your topics, Tony, I was excited. French
You,
fries versus ice cream is basically what we're doing today, and I got to tell you, I'm a little happy that ice cream is one of those choices because I would take ice cream over French fries.
yeah. And it made me think of it because everybody was celebrating National Donut Day last week. I'm a health
Yep.
and fitness guy, but I'm also a cheat day guy. And I think we're going to get to it, but I think that sometimes people, they think they're making a healthier decision when in fact they are not when it comes to
No.
potentially getting themselves the diabetes.
No. So I cannot wait for that conversation. Looking forward to that. You also have concerts, summer concerts by the numbers. Look, everybody loves summertime, and the concerts are usually top notch. You have people touring all the time, and when it comes to summertime, there's something special about those concerts that happen. And and I love, obviously I love music, and um some others, namely Kenny, doesn't appreciate all the good music out there after you know destroying my top 5 from 1968. And I mean, I don't like the Beach Boys. They're okay.
Oh,
They're okay, but it's cheesy. It's cheesy. So because I didn't put Good Vibrations into my top songs for 66, there's no reason to fuss. No reason to fuss. That's my opinion. And usually it's more correct than wrong. So I had to get that out because I was a little disturbed by just the negativity around those top fives from yesterday. It was just brutal, brutal.
you never know what's going to set
I
people
know,
off.
huh? So we got that, and let me tell you, we are also going to be talking about something that has set off like shockwaves through this country. So that'll be cause and effect, and I cannot wait for that as well. And of course, TV cancellations also today.
Some of my favorites got the old walking papers.
Yes, I got the latest batch. Not good news for some folks. Martin, you're gonna be really upset because yours got canceled too after the first season. So not good. I just don't think with today's streaming services, they're not giving shows a chance.
Yeah.
I, Look, when you have a brand new show, it is tough to gain ground on those that have been there for like 20 years in some cases. You have to be a little more patient because you're letting good shows go, and it really really irritates me. So, so you know, I like the fact that there's always something new coming, but I don't like the fact that they seem to always cancel the good shows. So,
But to that point, cancellation doesn't necessarily mean cancellation like it did in the past. So in the past, when a show was
that's
canceled,
it. It's
that was
gone,
it. You
right?
never saw them
It has a
again.
chance
Now
somewhere else.
you right. You might they may move to now they may move to a different streamer. They may get a prequel. They may get a spinoff. They may get a reunion tour.
Yep.
So back in the day, cancellation meant you never saw that show ever again. They were in the
Right,
vault,
because there was
done.
really
Now there's a chance they might
there
pop
was
up.
really only 4 channels back then.
That was it. Yeah.
So so yes, I do like that fact. But we'll talk about that when it comes time. In the meantime, it is season 2, episode 110.
Wow.
Ice Cream Man. So obviously, we're going to be talking about, something to do with that, which I already told you, we're going to be talking about it. So, but that is in fact the title of today's episode, Ice Cream Man. And Tony is going to be posing as the Ice Cream Man, I think. Gonna wear like the little outfit that they used to wear in the old days with the little hat, that little like diner hat that they used to wear all the time back then. That would be nice. Look, you are watching us on Facebook at RI Broadcasting, so you can watch us live there. You can also watch us live on Kick and YouTube at Rhode Island Broadcasting. So you can watch us there. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, please click that little bell so you always know when we go live and you don't miss anything. Anything. You don't want to miss this show. So you can also watch us live on Twitch at RI_broadcasting. And please, by all means, send us bits, subscribe, so that helps keep the show going. And share. So whatever platform you are on, please share it, because that is very, very important. If you really want to support, there's all kinds of social media that we're on, including MeWe, TikTok, Blue Sky, Space Hey. That's the duplicated MySpace. It's really nice. I like it.
Speaking of things being uncanceled.
Yes, right, exactly. I think it's Tomless though. Not timeless, Tomless. So get on there at RI Broadcasting. Also, Twitter /X. Now, it'll be interesting if it goes back to Twitter if Elon Musk does indeed leave. I don't know. I think it's all smoke and mirrors, to be honest with you. I don't think he's leaving. So you can follow us there at Broadcasting RI. And if you really want to support and get some cool merch like this wonderful mug that my cough drop wrapper stuck to. It's like waving over here, and I'm like, it's like bothering me. So you can get on there at RI Broadcasting, support the show. Just support. There is a free option, and then there's also the paid option, which is only $2. Then you can start getting merchandise like stickers, pens, coasters, all kinds of stuff. So get on there. I got my orange juice. Let me take my orange juice. Doesn't taste good with the cough drop though. So that's that. So follow us on all that stuff. Tony, it is time to get this show rolling. And I know you know about all this because you are very up to date with everything that's going on. I think you know a lot about a lot of things. And I'm sure this has been, you've been following along with this the protests of ICE, right? Now, whether or not it is right what they're doing, that is not even the issue. But the protests have got a little carried away. There is no need to destroy your city, hurt people, and just being unruly. You can protest and make a point. So now it's like in, I don't know, 10 to 15 cities across the country.
And it looks like there's going to be more cities added over this weekend as we talk now. This upcoming weekend, probably that could come to close to double.
Yeah. So, And I get it. I get it. You know, people you know and care about are under a lot of scrutiny right now. You know, I don't know what the answers are, but I know the answer isn't destroying things and hurting people. I know that's not the answer. You know, this is I'm supposed to be the the man of reason. Come on, I'm a loose cannon. You know, it's like I just go off of feeling, right? But we can't do this. And all of this now in LA has caused more and more troubles. So, with that, National Guard was called in. And I don't like this part, the Marines. Like, why are you calling on the
Yeah,
Marines to do this? This is not something like I don't want something to happen and a Marine has to shoot somebody. That is not what they are for. National Guard is supposed to do this. And I get that. And I
yeah, that's what they
understand
signed
that.
up to do. Yeah.
Marines, no. They should be left out of this. But despite that, it has caused more problems than what we think. And that is big with the arts community. Because there is now a curfew in effect for the downtown area.
Right.
And that is decimating the arts. Because they can no longer do their performances because of that curfew. Now, it stinks because there's a lot of things that have been affected. Just, you know, art museums, when they showcase an artist, say, now that artist gets hurt in the process,
Yeah.
not just a museum. You know, so now we're talking about livelihoods. This is their opportunity, and it's going by the wayside because it's just not going to happen. So if anybody that was, you know, starting their art show, say tonight, it's not happening because they got to cancel it. And you know, struggling artists live off of the fact that they have a shot at this. It could be
Yeah.
their last shot. They might not ever get back in. So, what it has affected the Mark Taper Forum, it has affected LA Opera, Museum of Contemporary Art, the Broad Museum, Japanese American National Museum, and I mean, the list goes on. Center Theater Group, they're all being affected by this. In fact, the Los Angeles Philharmonic Soul Festival was to be in its last performance last night and it got canceled. Now, it might not sound that big of a deal to some people, but it is their livelihoods. And to top it all off, it's not like they can, we'll just see it, you know, tomorrow night. No,
Yeah.
it was the last showing, right? And the Los Angeles Philharmonic is not doing another show for the rest of the year. So anybody that was scheduled for that last performance isn't going to be able to see them this year. That's it. They're done for the season. That's a big deal. So the Walt Disney Concert Hall was closed last night for it. It did not happen. Also, Hamlet at the Mark Taper Forum. The premiere, so they were supposed to do a showing on Tuesday night, and I'm guessing it's for media personnel, right? So the critics and all that. And then the opening was Wednesday, last night. Both were canceled. And we don't know when it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, this is disturbing. And not only that, in Hamlet, Patrick Ball, the star of The Pit, the TV show, The Pit, is in that play.
Wow.
So again, this is something that, he's missing an opportunity to show live performance. It's because when does he start taping again? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if it gets delayed, he might not be able to do the performances. And that's it's just not right, to be honest with you. So LA, like I said, LA Opera, the Center Theater Group is supposed to premiere Parade next Tuesday. Now they don't know if that's going to happen or not. I mean, I would hope to think that it would be settled by then, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't bet the farm on that.
Yeah, right. And Tony, this is just LA. Now we have all these other things going on. What's it going to be like in all those other cities? Now there's a lot of them, like Atlanta. All of it. People have had enough, and I get it. I get it. But you can't go to the extremes. You can't go to the extremes. That's not who we are as people. Not supposed to be anyway. You know. I mean, there's enough chaos going on that you don't have to add to it.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Like, you think, like Boston, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, you don't think all these places are going to get affected by all this? It goes beyond just the arts, and I'm telling you, people are, oh, well, nobody pays attention to the Philharmonic. That's baloney. That's baloney. A lot of people pay attention to this stuff. And it's no different than sports. Because let me tell you, that's next.
Yeah.
Those folks down there in LA, well, your Dodger games are going to get affected eventually. This is just a fact. So when you protest, you've got to protest the right way. I don't know what else to tell you, because your lives are going to change. And, I don't know what it's going to take for anybody to recognize these people that are getting, sent out of the country, and some may or may not be, justified. I don't know. I don't know every single person, but you can't clump everybody into the same mold. Just doesn't work that way. So I don't know, Tony. I don't know what the answers are out there. Um, it's getting ugly, though.
And especially when it comes to live music and even more seasonally based small businesses, one or two big weekends, that's what's putting you in the red or the green for the
Right.
year in some places, especially, down here in South County, but even more so in Boston or out on Block Island. Anything that is seasonably based and you need good weather, you're already fighting against the
Right.
weather. Now you're having to kind of jigger around this too, and the potential for more cancellations, more protests, more curfews. It is
Yep.
it's hard to plan on a razor thin budget and a razor thin profit margin what you're even going to be
Right.
able to do going forward when this is all cleaned up, or if this
Yeah,
is all
because you
cleaned up.
gotta you gotta look at. I know we have seafood festivals and all kinds of arts festivals, especially in the Rhode Island area. Like, this is a very cultural place. And it's only a matter of time before ICE comes into Providence and does their thing.
Yeah.
You've got to expect it. You've got to handle yourself with dignity and class. And I get that some people that you love are going to be, taken, and they're not doing things the nice way. It is very abrupt, and it doesn't matter how old you are either. So you've got to handle things the right way, or it's just going to cause more pain and more loss. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the answers. I don't know legally what you can do, but it's something that people should start figuring out before they act. So that's my advice. If I was to tell you anything, figure out what your your actions can be legally, without going to the extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can tell you. But it is an awful sight. Um, Look, when it comes down to it, there's only a certain amount of people that were from this country. So when you say that we don't want these people in our country because they're immigrants and they're here illegally, think about when we came to this country, how it was. How do you think those Native Americans felt and feel? They're watching this and they're like, this is what they did to us. I think people just need to be better. And that goes for everybody, not just the people that this is
Yeah.
affecting. I mean, everybody. Everybody needs to be better. Okay. I can't anymore with that. I don't like doing these kind of stories. I don't like it. I like lighthearted.
And it seems like there's always more cause and more cause to have to do these kind of stories, even when you think things are going to die down a little bit. Not so
No,
much.
not so much. There's always something around the corner that isn't very good. But let's go to this French fries versus ice cream. I put the ice cream on my side, Tony, because I like ice cream.
And if you're trying to stave off diabetes, you may be a little bit better off having that ice cream
That's
than
crazy
the
to
French
even
fries,
think of that.
especially in a fast food
That's
situation.
crazy.
Yeah. Think about that. People are thinking they're making a little bit of a better choice by if they are having fat. And listen, I'm not here to shame anybody for their diet. As we mentioned in the opening, I am a big believer in
I
cheat
have
day.
6 of them.
I am also so one day, so that, yeah, I guess that's reverse
Yes.
cheat day. You eat healthy one day and then have ice cream the other 6.
Yeah. I like that.
But so for folks who aren't necessarily interested or knowledgeable about this, before meals, your blood sugar should be between 80 and 130, and then a half hour after meals, about 180. So you're kind of looking into that frame of things that are healthy. Now, top on the list, we're just talking fast food now because a lot of people do unfortunately rely on fast food for their diets because in another unfortunate situation, eating healthy is painfully expensive. Yes. The top one that is just going to shoot your blood sugar through the roof is the Cinnabon pastry roll. 127 carbs, 340 calories, kicking you into a glycemic load of 95. So just what we talked about, between that 80
So
and
that
into
adds
the hundreds.
90 to it?
But then it's an estimated spike of 283 in that half hour time frame as you're digesting it. So you're doing all right. You're non-diabetic. It's just covered in that, it's one of those things where you can have all the senses because it's sticky and it smells good and it tastes good and it looks good and people just devour these things. And that's going to boost you up into that spike of 230. Now, second on the list after that for the top glycemic load that's going to shoot you into prediabetes are French fries from McDonald's, and it's only a medium.
How?
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Because there is so much. There is so many. Second, shooting you into a glycemic load of 47. Now, just comparing calories, that Cinnabon is 340 calories. A medium fry, because it's fried, obviously, it's in the name, 440 calories. So if you just take out the sugar and are just thinking counting calories, you're at 440. That's going to spike you once digested into 118. So heading into that diabetic range. And the next one after that are fries again. Visit to Chick-fil-A, comparing calories, 550 calories, but only, and I'll say only loosely, a glycemic load of 45, boosting you into a spike of 112. So you are thinking, hey, let me just have a burger, some fries on the side. I'm making a smart decision when it comes to pre-diabetes, boosting my sugar, glycemic load. I'm going to skip dessert when actually you potentially could have skipped the fries because
Skip
the
the
next
fries.
two are also fries, seasoned fries from Taco Bell and curly fries from Arby's. Now,
Oh, curly
I
fries.
have a love-hate relationship with Taco Bell because they have introduced some healthy type things. And also, if you're trying to eat on a budget, Taco Bell's the place to go. Not always the best quality, but chances are the best price. Those seasoned fries, that medium from Taco Bell, 660 calories if you're
Oh my
just
god.
thinking counting calories. So it's going to
Oh
give you a
god.
glycemic spike of only 108. So slightly a little bit healthier there, but also
Oh my
sending your
god.
calories, your carbs, and your sugar all through the roof and for $1 and change. So you get the best of both worlds there. You get to save some money,
So
but you won't be living long enough to enjoy it.
so you just gotta skip the fries at these places really to really make a
Yeah.
dent.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, Tony, that is startling numbers. That is startling. I cannot believe the amount of sugar you're getting from that. Just fries. This is
Yeah.
like, is it something that's inside the oil that they cook it? It's
Yeah,
gotta
because
be.
the fries themselves are so processed, and then afterward, I mean, carbohydrates themselves aren't that great when it comes to staving off diabetes, but then they're processed, they're seasoned in the factory where they're made, then seasoned and processed again here, and then of course fried in oil, sometimes different locations. The oil isn't that fresh. So there are layers of things that are happening to these fries that took it from that humble potato to make it something that's going to shoot you into diabetes.
So so places like Five Guys that make their own fries, is that any better?
They have not, they are not on my list of things that are in the top 10 of diabetic unfriendly. So it must be, yeah, they are. If there's one near me, I've been there a few times, and from what I've seen, kind of behind the counter, they are cutting that straight from the potato and
Yeah,
preparing it. So yeah, I
yeah,
would assume the situation there is it's not as freeze dried and
right.
re-seasoned and
So it's
recovered
gotta be
in
better.
different things. So
I
yeah,
mean,
just having
it's still fried,
it's
so, I
still a
mean,
yeah.
but there's got to be, like, I mean, you might think that it would probably be, like, at least half of those numbers. Those numbers are insane. Those are insane for medium fries, not even large, not even large. So, so the alternative is to try to substitute stuff. I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean, yes, okay, everybody loves the fried foods. We get it. I mean, I grew up eating fried fish, fried,
Yeah.
French fries, all this stuff, right? And if you can just substitute it for something else a little more healthy, it doesn't have to be extreme. I mean, I don't know what you can substitute it at, a fast food restaurant. I don't know. It does not like a major option. Maybe a baked
Yeah.
potato.
Yeah, Wendy's a little bit with the baked potato and the chili and the side salad, but that's really the only one that has that
Right.
key option of switching that out.
Yeah. And if you want fries, then by all means go to one of those places like Five Guys and get the fries there. They even tell you what potatoes that they are cutting
Yeah.
up for their fries. So at least it's better. It's not processed. I gotta think that's how you can substitute by going to a different place. You know, I don't know, but change that fried chicken to a grilled chicken. I like grilled chicken.
Yeah.
So it's not so bad. And I, just you got to stay away from fried food. Like I know I used to have fried fish, like I said, all the time. I do baked fish now.
Mhm.
I never make any fried fish. If I'm going to a restaurant, I'd much rather have the baked fish. I think it's tastier, to be honest with you. I like it more. So you just oh man, French fries. So I'll take the ice cream. That's no problem.
At least you're getting
In
some dairy and some calcium and not just completely empty
exactly.
calories.
Look, you get some strawberry ice cream. You get the fruit in there. And you have your vitamins, like you said. I mean, it's not all bad. Yes, there's sugar. I get it.
Lots.
But at least it's not like that fake sugar that's not good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a chemical. If you can have your ice cream and maintain your sugar levels all day, then okay. But, try to keep it limited, and don't even do a full serving of it, you know? Just have some. Get a little bowl that you normally have, right? You take that little bowl, you say, okay, I'm going to get a smaller bowl, and you make a smaller portion. You kind of got to wean yourself off of these
Mhm.
things. I should take my own advice.
And now there are much better options as far as the portion sizes that you bring into the house too. So ice cream used to just come in that gallon, half gallon. Now you can get individual servings of different
Yeah,
things,
those
different
little cups.
flavors, and yeah, just don't even if you're leaning towards someone with maybe a legitimate sugar addiction or a legitimate food addiction, or if you're concerned about your diabetic future, pre-diabetes, don't even bring that full serving into the house. Just get that smaller, enjoy that dessert after
Yeah,
supper type situation, and that's it. And then it's not in the house.
yeah. Look, I've been saying for years that what they put in the food matters. And that's why people have become sicker and sicker and sicker, with disease, cancers. I mean, all the chemical preservatives they put in.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, just talking about bread. Now you're better off just going to a bakery and getting a bread that they make there because it's not processed. They make it from scratch. And that's better. It's not great, but it's still certainly much better than all
Yeah.
the preservatives they put in the breads. There's just so much. There's so much, and the fact that
And
you mentioned the healthy food is way too expensive.
painfully expensive. And that's
Yeah.
another great option with Five Guys too, is eliminating that bun in a traditional fast food situation. If you're in the car, you're on the run, chances are you're not going to take your burger patty piping hot, take the bun, throw it out the window and eat it like that. But Five Guys does have different bunless options where you can do a lettuce wrap or you can do it in a boat without the bun. So anytime you can eliminate that processed bread
Really?
along with it, you're saving some serious calories.
Really? They do that?
They'll just put it in a little container for you with the patty and the toppings on top, or they'll do a lettuce wrap type thing, which is
Wow.
not very convenient to eat. If you again are in the car, take that lettuce wrap, all the toppings fall out. It's not ideal, definitely, but
I
certainly a much
mean,
healthier
you
option.
gotta you gotta think that those wraps, that they put like burritos, like make a burrito out of, it's got to be a healthier choice than a
Yeah,
bun.
especially with your sandwich, your Subways and all the sandwiches shops like that. There is a significantly less calories if you can order a wrap.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like a hot dog with a wrap is absolutely incredible. I suggest people to do that, and you can make it right on the George Foreman grill. You know, you make the hot dog, you cook it, and then you put it inside the wrap with everything you want on it. And then you put the wrap right on
Hmm.
the George Foreman grill. Close the lid, wait till it browns, and then you got yourself. And it tastes amazing, Tony.
Wow.
It
That's
tastes
way better
way
than
better
anything
than
you're
a
going to get
bun.
at Taco Bell. Yeah.
Oh, it's so great. It's so great. So I suggest that. Yeah, just use a wrap. If you're cooking at home, you're having a cookout, use a wrap instead of a bun. I'm telling you, you will enjoy it and it will taste better. Taste better. I'm telling you. I look for anything I can. And that is one that I did that by experimentation.
Hmm.
Just had to, let me put it in a wrap and put it on the George Foreman, and it came out so good. It was so delicious. Oh, I don't know, but there's so much, Tony. Like when you think about, and there's sugar
Yeah.
in everything. It's out of control. Everything's out of control. This show is. It should have been called Out of Control. It's unbelievable, but I love it. I'm happy that ice cream is better for you than French fries, so I will take
Slightly.
that. That's a win in my category.
And just
But
remember, if you're thinking that you may be pre-diabetic or you're having symptoms, because diabetic symptoms can just seem like different things. They can seem like depression. They can seem like the flu. Don't forget that glycemic monitors aren't by prescription anymore. So it used to be you had to be diagnosed with diabetes to be able to run the thing to prick your finger or to put a continuous on you. You had to get a prescription. It had to go through this convoluted process. Now you can just buy those over the counters, and there are some inexpensive options and some high-end options. But if you think you're having those symptoms, don't wait it out until you can get a medical appointment, especially if you're like 75% of the population, you don't have a primary care physician. Go ahead and check your blood sugars yourself and take a look at what you're doing, because you're going to be able to save yourself some time and some health complications.
very good. Take that advice, people. Trust me. You don't want to end up like me. Sick all the time. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. TV cancellations. There's always some people that are always upset at this time of year because their show gets canceled. And I've
Yeah.
been on that end a lot, let me tell you. A lot. And it's annoying when a show doesn't have an ending. And the cleaning lady is on that list of not having a good ending.
Yeah.
So if you've watched the first 4 seasons of the cleaning lady, I'm
Mhm.
so sorry, because it is not coming back and it left on a cliffhanger. So now, Tony, I was going to start watching that. I'm not going to start watching it now because I
And
know that. No, go ahead.
since you're not going to watch it, it gets a little weird in one of the later seasons too, because a key character on the show passed away in real life. So what are you going to do in that situation when you're relying
Yeah.
on flashbacks and things? When you can't, there's no way to hedge against it. So yeah, not it's great start. Not surprised to see it get canceled, because there was only so much they could do going forward.
Yeah. So the cleaning lady was canceled by Fox. Also, Rescue High Surf. I've never watched it.
Hmm.
Never had the desire to watch it. I'm kind of getting tired of all these 911 911 shows. They got a new one coming too. It's like, no, just stop. We only need 1 or 2 fire. We only need 1 or 2 cop shows. We only need, how many FBI's and
Yeah.
NCIS's and oh, come on.
All these other
Enough.
production companies are thinking, hey, it worked for Dick Wolf. We're going to do it too. We'll just keep spinning them off, keep spinning them off.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing now. It's like, look, I watch Fire Country, right? And now they have Sheriff Country. I don't care. I don't want to see that. They bring in a character for one show and they think they're going to make a spin-off of it? No. No. That's going to get canceled, so don't even bother. It hasn't even started and it's already going to get canceled. So that is also alert. Missing Persons Unit. That is the one I think with Scott Conn, isn't it? I like Scott Conn. He's pretty good. It doesn't, his talent certainly got from his father, James. So, but that show gone. So that's done. So hopefully it didn't leave in a cliffhanger because you're not going to see it anymore. CBS finally, oh thank Lord, canceled the Equalizer with Queen Latifah. Look, I like Queen Latifah, but there is no way that is believable.
Yeah, no, that was
no way.
That was
I
painful
cannot
to watch.
believe it lasted way too long. I watched it for maybe 10 minutes. I watched it 10 minutes. And when I saw her jumping off of a second floor fire escape and then chasing down some young, athletic, muscular guy, that was too much for me.
Yeah.
There's no way it's happening. No way. So I shut it off right after that, and I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. Shut it off.
And listen, I'm a professional wrestling fan, so I have a high tolerance for people doing silly things that they could never do in real life, and I was finding that to be hard to be believable, so that'll tell you something.
Right. I mean, at least when they're athletic and all, okay, you can give it to them, right? It's Queen Latifah. She's not chasing anybody down, for one, let alone after you jump off of a second floor fire escape.
Yeah.
I don't know. But finally canceled that. I'm glad. NBC, they took out their cutting board.
Big time.
Butcher's cleaver. Lopez versus Lopez canceled. Night Court canceled. The Irrational, that's with Jesse L. Martin from The Flash. I like
Great
him.
show. Great show. I was watching that one religiously, and when it first started, I was thinking and this is no insult to anybody who's a regular TV watcher, because I am also, but I was thinking, this show is a little bit too smart for traditional TV, because they really do go into the weeds of legitimate academic research, which isn't for everybody who's just trying to, after a long day, relax and zone out. So I, from the beginning, thought that wasn't going to last. A little too smart for traditional TV, and I was right. Yeah.
Too thinky. Found also get canceled. That's a pretty good show. I've watched the first 3 episodes of that show. I guess I don't have to watch it anymore. So, and Suits LA, this is a surprise. Yeah, Suits LA get canceled. First season, done. One and done for Suits. And it's funny too, because I saw a photo trying to get the photos of all this stuff for the graphics, and I saw a graphic for Suits season 2. Didn't happen.
That's a collector's item now.
Yeah.
And consider, if you're a Peacock subscriber, the amount that they hyped that show up for when it was coming out, I guess that was all for naught.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Peacock also canceled Laid. I don't know. I never watched it. It's probably not for kids with that title. And this was a surprise too. Stars canceled Power Book 3, Raising Canaan, or Canaan, or Cannon. I don't know how you pronounce it. I've never watched it, so that's the 50 Cent series, isn't it? So that's gone. And Prime, oh my God, I swear Prime doesn't know what they're doing. I really truly believe that they don't know. Okay, so and I've already said this on a previous show, they canceled The Bondsman, right? Kevin Bacon series, fantastic. But you can still watch season 1 because it doesn't end somewhere where, okay, you can't end like that, right? It ended, sort of. I mean, the story continues, but but it's not ending in a place where you don't need to see it because it's a great series,
Mhm.
right? It was the number 2 stream TV show on Prime
Wow.
this year. Number 2
When you think
behind
about
Reacher.
and that's not just say when you think about in the old days, okay, if a show was number one, it was maybe competing against a dozen shows. Think about the amount of content that Prime has, and for anything to crack that top 10, huge audience.
Number 2. How do you cancel it? I don't understand it. You obviously have people. Look, everybody likes Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon's good. He's good in everything. I don't know, but they canceled it. They also canceled another show that I like, Wheel of Time.
Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I'm not going to know the finale of the series, right? Because it's never going to happen. They also canceled Martin's show that he watches, Et Toi, the ballet thing. This right here. So it's about, ballet and dance and stuff like that. And they canceled it. 1 season. Done. 1 and done. Critically acclaimed. Does nothing. Does nothing. And I cannot believe they canceled this. This was an unbelievable show. On Call. Police drama. Look, the first minute you get a cop getting his head blown off. Or her head blown off. Very graphic. This show was amazing. What a great series this is. Or was. Because it got canceled. But they are shopping it around. So that is one that there's hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope somebody picks it up. Please, somebody. I don't care who picks it up. Somebody pick it up. Because it was phenomenal.
Dick Wolf Productions, if you're listening, grab that one. Add it to your 500 franchises.
Exactly. Take that. And I don't want it to be on regular TV because it'll lose something. I want it to be picked up. Maybe Netflix. Hey, how about you, Netflix? Pick this up. This is a great one. Yeah, that's what I got. I think that's everything that got canceled in the last couple of weeks. There's a lot more on the bubble, so be prepared, people. That's all I can tell you. When a show, first of all, when a show is on a while, if they don't get rid of characters along the way, those characters that stay have to get paid more every year.
Yeah, and do more.
And then once that goes over the amount of money they can take in from sponsors, that's when shows end. And it could be a great show, but if it's not cost effective, they're not going to keep it. And that's why shows. No, go ahead.
And that's where, probably clearly enough, you might have assumed that I'm not a soap opera fan, but that's where soap operas were able to make a smart decision, because now once that person has been under contract for so long, they get an actor with a similar look. They keep the same character with a different actor, and they make a little announcement that says Tony Jones is now being played by Bob Stevens, and that's it. They move on. So you really are timed out in the soap opera world, because once you start making a certain amount of money, they're going to be sending you to kick the old dusty trail.
It's like the Griswold kids. You know how they changed them in one movie?
Yeah. And I think Roseanne did that back in the day. Yeah. Yep.
So when it crosses that threshold, and probably that's what happened with The Walking Dead, right? You have all these characters, and when their contract is up, that's when they die on the show.
Yeah.
And they just bring in somebody else, to play a different role. And if you don't, you end up with an exorbitant amount of salaries to pay, and you can only take in so much. And then once it ends, when they ended it, I mean, you're looking at, well, they can't kill off all these characters because then you don't have a show. If you kill off the wrong character, the ratings drop.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of shows just say, okay, enough's enough. We're done, and we're gonna end the series. It's the same thing like Seinfeld and all. It's because they can't pay them anymore. They're not gonna make money on the show. So you can't get rid of those characters. Cheers, the same thing.
Yeah.
There becomes a point where financially you can't survive. And if a show just doesn't even produce sponsors, that's a problem. So that's why a lot of shows don't make it. In some cases, I think it's dumb, because they're not getting the ratings, but you're going up against the number one show of the week. And they do that like NCIS. Remember how it was taking the top spot all the time, right? So if you put a show up against NCIS, chances are it's not going to win. It's not going to win.
Yeah.
So they cancel it, and it's like, well, why don't you put it up against, CBS worst show? Put it up against that. See how it does. No, they start them off, boom. Once it goes up, gets a viewership, then you can match it up against those shows and then see what happens.
People will move with it, yeah.
Yep. They do things backwards. They put a new show up against a show that's been running for 10 years, and of course it's going to lose. It's going to lose. So, I don't know. But there are some new shows, Tony. NCIS Tony and Ziva. Is that you? Or is it Tony from
They can't afford me.
So we got another NCIS coming in the fall. See, again, I don't want more NCIS. Don't want more. Alien Earth, summer of 2025 on FX. That is about the movie, basically, Alien. They're putting it onto a TV series. So that should be pretty interesting. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Ironheart, Disney Plus, June 24th. Ironheart. It's a Marvel thing. Have you watched any of the Marvel shows?
I've tried and have not been able to get into the smaller episodes like that. It's just not doing it for me.
Yeah, no, I can't do it either. They have Chad Powers on Hulu in September. Chad Powers coming. I don't know. I guess it's a quarterback who has like a thing with some other player. And I guess it's competition. So he decided that he was going to pose as another player to counteract that quarterback. I don't know. It makes no sense to me. I don't think it's going to last. And then Doc, this sounds actually pretty interesting. On Fox, it is Molly Parker playing a Dr. Amy Larson, who has a brain injury, and it erased 8 years of her life.
Oh, yeah, I saw the sizzle reel for that. That looks like it could be interesting. Yeah.
It looks like it could be good. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the female version of House. Just saying. I think it's going to be probably similar to that with a different, kind of injury.
Mm-hmm.
Brain injury, leg injury. I don't think it'll be quite as crude because everything that they did on House would not fly today. But,
and just imagine the amount of spin-offs as it is successful. You could have every organ injured for every, you got a doctor in kidney failure. You got a doctor with a broken arm. You could keep going and keep going.
You just keep recycling.
forever and ever.
Yeah. So that's what we get to look forward to. Sorry about all those shows that you people have lost out there. I know, I feel your pain. I lost 3 of them. So not good. Not good. At least now I don't have to waste my time watching The Cleaning Lady. So I'm glad I waited a little for it. So, because I was going to start it like a month ago and it just kept delaying it. And then bam, canceled.
Yeah.
And then, reading the article, how it leaves you in a cliffhanger. And I'm like, nope, no, thank you. No, thank you. So they destroyed the watchability of it, really. All right, Tony, let's go to the concert time. Look at all these people cheering for you. They're waiting for your summer concerts by the numbers.
Boy.
Let us know what you got here.
Let me tell you, you may be thinking about some of these shows. You're going to need to take out a second mortgage to attend that. And there are a few that I've seen on the list where back in the day, my first few apartments, the tickets would be a month's rent. Because it really is getting silly now with the VIPs, and you can pay for extra parking, and you can pay to get there early. You can pay there to be able to leave early, get your first crack at leaving the parking lot. Anything that is an add-on, chances are it exists out there for you. When I see some of these shows, like, it makes sense. We all know the Rolling Stones have for years charged some exorbitant prices, and it looks like this could possibly be the final tour. Now I feel like the Rolling Stones have been retiring as far as long back as I can remember. And also Charlie Watts was one of my favorite Rolling Stones member who's no longer with us, but they're in the 500 to 1,000 ranges for just your basic ticket seat options. And then there's different VIP packages that just keep running up and running up. That's actually, if you can believe it, the Stones are one of the cheaper ones on my list. For some reason, Adele is looking at for VIPs between $2,000 and $4,000. That is more than 1 month's rent now that I think about it for an apartment that I had back in the day. I cannot imagine laying that out for Adele, who's a fantastic musician, great tunes. $4,000 worth of show, I'm not completely sure. That's a rough one.
See, with Adele, like, I don't question the talent. But really, could you imagine spending $4,000 on just watching her sit and sing or something?
Yeah.
I if I'm going to a concert, I want a show. I want to see somebody performing and putting on a show.
Right.
And look, say what you want about Michael Jackson. I mean, I think he was very talented, a little nutty, but he puts on a show. Prince put on a show. These are the people. I don't want to see somebody that just sings ballads.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't want to fall asleep at a concert.
Not for $4,000.
No, give me AC/DC. I'll be more than happy to pay that to see AC/DC, and it's not that expensive for AC/DC. And they're still doing it. They're like 90 million years old, and they still every song sounds the same, but every song is good. If you like one, you like all of them. But they put on a show, Angus Young with the little guitar, and I can't. Adele, no. Please, no.
Which actually, that plays perfectly into my next one because, and if you like it or not, that's all subjective. Lady Gaga going out on tour, definitely putting on a show. Right. Full show, full outfits, full makeup, full lighting, pyro, everything you could think of. Still to be determined, but they're thinking mid-high hundreds to 4 digits for VIP and different add-ons they're going to have for that tour.
I can see that. I
Yeah.
can see that. Look, I'm not a Lady Gaga fan, but she's gonna put on a show. She's gonna do that. So you're gonna get your money's worth going to a concert for her.
Speaking of what could be potentially hit or miss, Beyonce, but specifically with the Cowboy Carter content. So the rap country thing, they're thinking that's going to start around $800 and then up into the thousands for your VIPs
Yeah, they can
and your
keep it.
add-ons and things like that. And then another one that I found interesting because I'm not a huge fan is Coldplay. Another one that's a little more laid back, but at least it is a full band, but they're, a little bit more calm. Regular seats, 300-400, and then again up into the thousands for your VIP packages and your parking and your all that type deal. So potentially, if you're into pop music, a very expensive summer on tap.
Yes. Or you can just go to like some festivals with live music from local artists. You'd be surprised on how good they are.
And listen, I'm from a punk rock background, so anything over $5 makes me cringe as far as a door charge go. Like $5 is my limit, and for $5, chances are I want to see 5 bands. Now, it is interesting to think about that. Live Nation is trying to garner some goodwill from all the bad will they've had over the years. So they're doing a $30 promotion. Now you have to shop around, you have to catch it at the right time, and you have to buy it again through Live Nation. But they're going to be doing a bunch of $30 shows, but you got to kind of really do your work to try to get those tickets and get those seats. But if you're cheap like me and you don't like to spend money, chances are you're willing to do a little bit of homework to get your $30 ticket for a big show.
That sounds like a good deal these days. $30 to go see a bunch of bands or something. I like that. I don't know if you've heard of Nate Cozzolino and the Lost Arts.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good. I love listening to their music. And so when you're talking about a local band, I actually don't mind even paying a little more, to see those local bands, especially if they're really good, because it helps the band.
Yeah.
I'd find it easier to pay $30 to see a local band than it would be to spend $230 to see, an okay show, from these artists today.
If you're in that situation and you do have an opportunity also to buy a t-shirt, if they're doing physical CDs, if they're selling stickers, anything like that, chances are that is going into the gas tank of the musician to get them home after that gig. So it really is, speaking of people hating Live Nation, there is no middleman in that situation. You're giving that money directly to the artist in most situations. It's a fantastic opportunity to support.
Yeah. So you plan on going to any summer concerts, Tony?
I'm considering Deftones as far as bigger shows go. Yeah, they're keeping it in the $40 range, so that should be a pretty good one. That's other than local music, most of my entertainment dollar will be spent locally supporting folks that I know and folks that I want to directly support. So, but Deftones is the one that's peeking out to me a little bit as far as bigger shows go.
Very nice. So I don't know. I haven't looked at like the concerts coming up. I'm still reeling for like the past year, knowing that Huey Lewis and the News can't tour anymore.
Yeah.
That's devastating to me. I wanted to see them one more time, and then I found out they're not doing it anymore because of his condition.
And listen, if you're a musician out there, and I'm guilty of not doing this myself, but if you're a musician out there, please consider wearing your hearing protection, because we're seeing these long lists of musicians who they're going completely deaf, or they have tinnitus so bad that they can't play anymore, or their balance is off because of inner ear issues from playing live music all these years without hearing protection. So I am being a complete hypocrite, because when I play drums, I rarely wore hearing protection, maybe just in the studio. But if you're a young musician out there, consider it, because we're seeing real live case studies of these folks seriously struggling, not just their careers, but in life due to not protecting their hearing as
Absolutely.
musicians.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, today was awesome, Tony. Today was awesome.
We really
Uh,
took it from the most depressing situation ever to some of the more fun things happening this summer. So hopefully we struck
yeah.
a good balance, and hopefully the stuff we talked about at the beginning of the hour doesn't ruin all the stuff we talked about at the
Right.
end of the
Right.
hour. And then
Well,
if people are stuck in the house watching TV, all their favorite shows got canceled. So now we're back to the negative. So it really was a seesaw show today.
yeah, it was. But people got to know these things. So, I have no problem, telling them. I really like bringing good news rather than bad news. But it is what it is,
It's
like we
happening.
always say.
Yeah.
And but we got Saturday morning coming, with Lana and Ira. So you don't want to miss out on that one. They have always got some good conversation going on. You never know what they're going to talk about.
Which,
And
by the way, to give them a quick plug, and Rhode Island Broadcasting in general, if you are trying to consume traditional media on Saturday morning, chances are you're just listening to repeats of all the boring news stories that happen throughout the week. And it is
yeah,
just controlled by a computer in a studio somewhere. No heart, no soul going into that content. And Rhode Island Broadcasting is live with real life people here on Saturday. You're not going to get that many other outlets.
no, and they're fantastic together too. Like they have a good rapport. They're right there together, and they are fantastic to listen to. And so join them 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. if you're out in Alberta, Canada. So please join them on Saturday, and don't forget, look, we have so many people watching right now. You can throw comments down and join in on the conversation. We talk about it. We talk. So do that. We will see you next time. Tony, we might be together next Tuesday as well, because
Sweet.
you'll be back on Tuesday, and I am probably going to be on Tuesday as well. I think I'm doing Monday and Tuesday this week.
Wow.
So, so you'll be back on Tuesday. I will be back for sure on Monday, and yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for joining, and have a great weekend.